Hello, hello, hello. Pat Ziemer here with MagnaWave. Glad to be with you today for the Tuesday edition of the MagnaWave Office Hours. As you know, we come to you every Tuesday that we can, and answer your questions, whatever they may be, about MagnaWave, PEMF, training, protocols, testing, anything that is on your mind that you'd like to discuss. We're here to do that. You can put your questions in the chat box on YouTube or Facebook, and they will show up, and I will be able to answer the questions. You can send me a text to 502. Let me see here. Let me pull that up. Make sure I've got that. 502-414-3436. 502-414-3436. And I will return a call to you, and then we can have a conversation about whatever it is that you would like to discuss. It's always good to do that because we can go so much more in depth when we approach it in that fashion. So again, it's 502-414-3436. And I will give you a call back. Katie's with us today. Good morning. So thank you, or good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. We always appreciate that. Share this with your friends, if you would. Just hit the share button on your Facebook or your YouTube page and share it with your friends so they can chime in and get their questions answered as well. We're always excited to do that. There are some questions that we've got today. Let me pull those up and we can have a look at some of those questions. Also, let's take care of some things. As you know, the video books are available for certified practitioners that have 4 videos in the book. Tony's playing a picture of the video book or a video about it at this moment. So you can put customized videos in the video book, or you can use the ones that we have for various disciplines. We have them for small animals, equine, large animals, the whole nine yards. You can customize those video books as you wish. Leave them with a customer. It's a great way to build your credibility and the credibility of the services that you are providing, so your customers can see and understand what you're doing. And the books can be personalized with stickers, business logos, and so forth. Just contact customer service, and they'll put you in contact with the marketing department to take care of whatever you need with regard to your video books. Also, you can still get some holiday cards. It's getting close, but you can order some holiday cards, put your stickers on them, and mail them to your clients, which is a good sign, a good way to make an initial contact or connection with your customers during this holiday season. As you know, MagnaCon's coming up in June, and it's going to be at the Galt House on the river in downtown Louisville this year. Imagine us doing the live training outside on the Belvedere overlooking the Ohio River. It's going to be absolutely incredible and a lot of fun. So you want to do that. If you buy your tickets before January the 1st, you save $100 on your ticket, and the room blocks are available. So if you'd like to go ahead and reserve your room, you can call the Galt House, talk about the MagnaWave MagnaCon event in June, and they have special room blocks, special rates available for those who will be attending. As you know, we'll have this one in 2022. We'll skip 2023 as we'll be doing some regional shows at that time, and then we'll be back in 2024 live in downtown Louisville at that point, unless we also outgrow that. So we'll see how that will play out. So the room blocks are available. Tickets are available. Save $100 if you buy them before the 1st of the year. A new location for MagnaCon 2022 has been chosen. Get ready to join the largest PMF conference in the world at the Galt House Hotel here in Louisville, Kentucky. The only waterfront hotel in the city, the Galt House will give you front row access to many great restaurants and attractions that will make for an unforgettable MagnaCon experience. Make sure to reserve your hotel room for MagnaCon 2022 today. There you go. It's the first time I've seen that. Good job, marketing folks and Tony. That's a great job, great video. And I'm sure that'll be available, and you'll be seeing that on the various Facebook pages and LinkedIn and all the places, just promoting MagnaCon 2022. We'd love to see you there, and we look forward to you, in fact, being there. Okay, there have been some questions that have been presented I'd like to discuss at this point. Let me bring this up here and we can go over it. The HISA, which is a Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Authority, they've been talking about that for several years to better regulate the industry and to take control of people who are abusing or accused of abusing the animals with doping and all kinds of things going on, where there are some new regulations that are taking effect. And a couple of them that we've been notified of and we're addressing and having a look at is the use to deliver an electrical shock to the horse, including but not limited to cattle prods and batteries. We don't do any of that, certainly. Use of electrical medical therapeutic devices, including magnetic wave therapy, laser, electromagnetic blankets, boots, electroshock, and any other electrical devices that may produce an analgesic effect within 48 hours of a training activity or the start of a published post time for which a horse is scheduled to race. Okay, so we can kind of get into this and discuss this as we go. It's interesting how they break that down when they talk about magnetic blankets, boots, electroshock. Now, there are various forms of providing a shock to the animal, which was addressed in the line above, cattle prods and things like that, and batteries, clickers, or whatever they use that have been used to shock the horses to get them to move a little bit more aggressively. But when they start talking about this, certainly we're going to pass this along to the Association of PMF Professionals, so we approach it in the appropriate manner. We certainly support the HISA, the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act, and we want that to be in place for the safety of the animals that are racing. And actually, that'll move across many different disciplines as you move into the performance horses and the show horses. The same things need to be applied for the safety of the rider, safety of the animals across all the various disciplines and jurisdictions. Okay, and what needs to be addressed here and what needs to be certainly thought about and talked to is where they talk about the analgesic effect within 48 hours of a training activity. So I've got letters, I've got explanations of our therapy, I've got things that we have explored and we will explore in various testing situations as to what is and when is an analgesic effect provided by various devices. And that's one of the things that I believe the AOPP will be able to address by testing the equipment of various manufacturers, by showing what is analgesic and what is not. Doctors have pointed out to me, and we've researched this years ago when these questions first came up, that yes, the PEMF can relieve pain and can kind of make the horse more comfortable, but it will not block. It does not, if you put it on, if you've got a bad knee, as I've had, and we've talked about several times here on the office hours in recent weeks, I can treat myself and I feel good. But if I go outside and run down the hill and twist my leg, it's right back. So it's not analgesic. It relieves the pain, but if there's a problem there, it's going to resurface. And we've dealt with this in professional athletics and the whole 9 yards. But it's very clear in what they're writing that they're talking about producing an analgesic effect. The challenge comes in when we're going to be the ones, or the providers of therapies, that have to prove that their devices do not produce an analgesic effect. In theory, you'd think, okay, they're saying that this does it. They would do the research and can very definitively say this device provides that, as shockwave therapy addresses and how they approach shockwave therapy, which is not covered in the paragraph that I just read you from the Safety Act of the horse racing industry. And so it needs to be addressed. Hopefully, the Association of PMF Professionals will be able to do some research and be able to determine if there are devices that do produce an analgesic effect, and then they'll know not to use them. The secret there, or the information that needs to be paid attention to, is the 48 hours. As you know, in many states currently, for example, in California, nothing is done the day before the race, pre-race day. So that's 24, 36, 40 hours prior to a race. They don't allow various therapies to be used. Here we're talking about 48 hours, 2 days basically, from the time, as it points out, the gate time, the post time of the race, 48 hours back. So that's pretty easy to monitor. It's pretty easy to know what you're doing and what you're doing. So, or what you're providing as far as services are concerned. So, where a lot of states, in Kentucky, for example, there's really not been any rulings that say that you can't do PEMF therapy or laser therapy on race day. The state veterinarians have said for years that they prefer that you don't do some of these therapies on race day. So most people have been doing those therapies, or therapies that they wanted to kind of monitor at least 24, 36 hours out. Now you're just going to change your clock to 48 hours. What that really means is if you're taking care of an animal and you're treating them regularly and you're keeping them healthy and you're working with the trainers, that 48 hours is not going to be an issue. It's going to, because the horse is going to be well taken care of, you're providing your services, and things should be fine. And so that it's adding 12, 16, 20 hours, if you will, to what we're already doing in most states by not treating day before or pre-race day. And so where it can be troubling to look at it, but to take it on the surface, as the AOPP and testing organizations will hopefully be able to help us and other manufacturers and other people establish the safety, use, the efficacy of their devices, and when they can be used. For example, magnetic blankets. I can tell you sitting here that the low-powered magnetic blankets that are out there are not an issue with as far as analgesic type of situations, but they're included in the ruling. So they're going to be 48 hours out. They've been 24 hours out forever in California and other jurisdictions. So we all have. So it's just a matter of just rebalancing our time clocks and approaching it a little differently, selling our services from the standpoint of don't wait until 24 hours or 48 hours before a race. Be taking care of your animals and your racehorses right up until that period of time, and then carry them through to the race time in a good fashion. So just wanted to discuss that. If you have questions on that, put them in the chat box, and I will certainly have a look at them and answer them and proceed with those questions. Let's have a look here and see. Let's see. Machine Gun Buck is with us. Okay. Kim's with us today. Rebecca's with us. Alicia. Kelly's with us. Suzanne's with us. Suzanne's there again. Tina's with us today. So we really appreciate all you folks being with us and presenting your questions that I can address. Let's see if we have any questions at this point. Do you measure Gauss output? If so, which machine has the most output for the money? Good question, Machine Gun. Trouble with that name there a little bit, not a big deal, but I just come answering your question. We do measure in Gauss output. And certainly our devices, as we consider to be high power devices or high voltage devices, the smallest device that we have produces 250 to 500 Gauss on the lowest level. The highest devices produce in the neighborhood of 9,000 and 10,000 Gauss on the device. And that would be the Julian, the Max, the Pulse Pro. Some of those devices get up into the 10,000 Gauss area of delivery. And so what that provides you is more versatility in what you're doing. It provides you a little more speed. And that's what made the difference when we started utilizing these devices, was that I could work on a horse. I could treat its back. They would get on the horse and ride off, and they'd come back 20 minutes later and say, my goodness, changed leads, felt better, reacted better, better range of motion. All of that stuff was there, and so that they didn't have before. So the higher power afforded a more rapid result. The lower power devices are the devices with less Gauss. The lower Gauss devices provide very similar results, but it may take a little longer in providing that. So if you're using devices for your own horses, we have people that use the semi devices and have used the semi devices as a business tool very successfully for over 5, 6, 7 years now. So it really doesn't make any difference. It's which device you're the most comfortable with. But to answer your question, you're going to get a higher Gauss when you get into the Pulse Pro, Max, Julian levels the Maya devices, when you get into those devices for a good bang for your buck. Oh, here's Elaine calling in. Let me see if I can get her onto the line here. Hey, Elaine.
Hey, Pat.
You're online. You're on the air.
Are you on Office Hours?
You're on the air, baby.
Hey, everybody. I always forget. How's everybody doing? How's it going? Did you tell them about the hotel room?
I did. Hotel rooms are available. The room block's available. They need to order their rooms.
Yes. Did Tony has a video to play? Did you play the video?
We played the video.
Oh, I love that video.
We're ahead of the game here.
You are. You've done all the things. Okay, well, call me whenever.
Well, wait a minute.
Okay.
Tony told me you had something on the full body mats. There's something on the full body mat special that's going on.
Yes, there's a special for practitioners only. So if you are a certified practitioner, a machine owner from us, then you reach out to sales@mwpmf.com, check the certified group, go into the practitioner portal, or talk to your product specialist. It'll go over the discounts. They're pretty big. I think it's over $600 off. So.
Whoa! Wait, did we clear that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we cleared that. We didn't tell you about it.
Imagine that.
Yeah, we cleared it. They are in stock and ready to go out. So if somebody's looking for a Christmas gift or something, that's a great opportunity to do that.
There you go. So call your product specialist if you want to save $600 on a full body mat. It's a specific mat, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Is that the one that folds up? The travel mat, the one that folds up. Okay. All right, folks. There it is. All right, Elaine. Is that it?
Okay. Love you.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Talk to you later, Dad.
See ya. Bye. Okay, so there you got part of that, and full body mats, the travel mats are on sale for the holidays. So if you want to talk about that, that's a great thing to do. Okay, let's see. We measured the Gauss. We talked about that. Let's see, coming British Columbia. I'm looking here. I read somewhere that you shouldn't use PEMF if prednisone is being used because they cancel each other out. Is this true? Did I read that right? Kelly, I'm going to pull some stuff up on that and have a look at it and be able to get back to you here shortly with that. Maybe we'll have a commercial or something that Tony can play, or play the video again in a few minutes, and I'll have a look at that. What is the protocol for mastitis in a mare swelling in the hocks down the leg? The protocol is to treat it. The protocol is to use the butterfly, use the large loop, use the wave wings, wrap the area appropriately, put it on a setting that is moderate and comfortable for the animal, and treat. You may need, when you're first dealing with that situation, do it a couple of times a day with a 4 to 6 hour window in between the treatment times. You may do it daily for 4, 5, 6 days to get ahead of that, to get the inflammation out. When you talk about it, when you say mastitis, you're talking about itis being inflammation, and we want to do things to help the body relieve that inflammation and provide the comfort and the healing that's best. Okay, let's see. Good morning from California. That's pretty cool. Where are you located? I'm in St. Paul. Hey, Katie, we're in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Galt House, home of MagnaCon 2022 on the river. It's going to be a great time. An equine veterinarian recently told me not to MagnaWave the first 3 or 4 days after an injury because increasing the blood flow in an acute phase of the injury would just further the inflammation. Thoughts? We do not increase blood pressure or blood flow when we are working on an animal. If we did do that, if there was bleeding, if there was internal bleeding or bleeding, if there was a wound and there was active bleeding, we would say do not treat. Because, and now please, I'm not trying to go against the veterinarian. Follow your veterinarian's advice. I'm giving you the situation that we've learned over the years dealing with professional athletes, dealing with a lot of different veterinarians. The issue and the question that was presented is increasing blood flow, increasing blood pressure. We don't do that. If we do anything, we reduce blood pressure that is occurring. Again, if there is active bleeding internally or externally from a wound, we wait until the bleeding is controlled before we treat. So in that situation, what they're talking about is correct. We want the bleeding to be in check and not a problem. If there is but we're not increasing the blood flow. We are increasing the oxygen. We're allowing the body to have better oxygenation of the blood in the body, which will in fact reduce the inflammation that is occurring as a result of the injury or the situation that was sustained. We have learned many, many times that the more rapidly you get after a pulled muscle, a hyperextension or something like that, to keep, a lot of times the inflammation exacerbates. They're correct. The inflammation exacerbates the problem. If you can stop the inflammation before it gets to be a problem, then you are better off. And that's, I can't tell you how many times I've had people that have broken an ankle on a horse fall. We treat them, they get to the hospital. The doctor says, well, there's no inflammation. What's going on here? Because we kept the inflammation from occurring so they were more comfortable when they got to the hospital. Same thing when you're dealing with some injuries. Again, you always want to follow the lead of the veterinarian. My point here that I'm addressing is that we are not increasing blood pressure. We're not building up inflammation. We're doing everything we can to keep that inflammation from becoming a problem and from continuing to incur. The injury causes the inflammation to begin. And as I said, if there's bleeding, then you've got things going on that you got to be in control of. But if there's an injury and inflammation begins, you're not going to exacerbate the injury by slowing down the inflammation. You're going to make the area more comfortable. That's my whole thing. We're not increasing blood flow. That's going to cause it to inflame more than normal. That's not typically what occurs in these situations. We are doing more and more testing, working with the veterinary schools that we're in around the country. There are several veterinary schools that we're working in, and they're seeing these types of situations. We're seeing this every day with professional athletes and doctors that we're working with to further do more, I don't want to say anecdotals, but pre-study research to where we can go to the universities and say, look, this is what we've seen. This is what the doctors are getting. This is the imaging we're using to show these types of results and this interaction that takes place. And then we can move forward with full studies to really fine tune and put a T crossed and an I dotted in those types of situations. So those are my thoughts on that. Always follow. If your veterinarian does not want you to treat a horse for 3 or 4 days, don't do it. Follow their lead. They are the docs. They know what they're doing. They may know more about that particular situation than what we do, certainly, than what the owner does or the rider may or the trainer may at that point in time. My only thing I'm addressing is the point that they made that it increases blood flow, which will cause a problem, which it does not. And there are plenty of studies that show that it does not do that. But you still follow the lead of your veterinarian, of your doctor, so they can be, because they're the ones that are real professionals and they know what's happening. I just want them to be able to understand what the various therapies do and how they react. Great question, and I hope that helps. Let's see. Maureen talks about started with and still loves her semi. I remember when Maureen got her semi, and we talked in the office. Gee, she wants to use this as a business. Is it strong enough? Can she do that? And she's been very successful utilizing her small, lower producing Gauss device than some of the bigger machines. But she's been very successful because it works. It still works. It still does what we're talking about, and that's what she's at. Let's see. Good afternoon, everyone. A little late to the party. Let's see. Great. I'll send them your way. Hello from Texas. Lucille talks about not increasing blood flow. Have you heard about the Assisi Health Program for dogs for anxiety? It was advertised on AKC. Looks like a halo over their head attached to the vest, selling for $1,500. I would think our Loop would do the same. You're absolutely right, Felicia. The Assisi, fine company. They're producing PMF products. They're little battery operated loops or halos, if you will, that you can put wherever the situation may be. They're on there for several hours, and they can provide a good therapeutic effect. You can do the same thing by taking the butterfly, whatever you want to use, the paddle, placing it on the area, putting it on a very low to moderate setting, and you can help anxiety. You can help with the pole interaction, the relaxation, the concentration of the animal that you're dealing with. So most assuredly, if you have a machine, you can provide those services to your friends and family as you go forward. All right. I have a potential client with myelofibrosis. It started as essential thrombocytis and has become myelofibrosis. Do you have any knowledge of this, and can you assist me with how to treat? Well, you need to talk to the doc as to what's going on. It is inflammation related. It is something that you want to try to keep the inflammation in check so the integrity of the body can continue to work to heal itself. That's really what we do. We're not doing anything to heal something. We do things to help the blood, the oxygenation, the flow, a good flow of blood, a free flow of blood, if you will, to better do its job, take on the nutrients that are being given to it, the medications that are given, to better utilize them in the body so the body can better heal itself. And that's what we're looking to do. I would treat moderately. I would certainly talk to the doctor that you're dealing with. And if they're not comfortable, don't do it. If they're comfortable and they want to talk to you about it, they can do that. The doctors can take those steps to integrate, to be an integrative practice that they may be developing or want to hear about. Talk to the doctors. Always talk to the doctors. Always follow their lead and understand where they're going, because they know exactly what they're dealing with. Okay, some good questions there. Let me see if anyone has called. No calls at this point. Nobody wants to talk to me except Elaine called me, which is cool. It's good to hear from her. Hello from St. Louis, Alicia. If you'd like to call, 502-414-3436, and I will certainly give you a call back and we can have a conversation. Let me pull some questions up here that we have had. Lady wants me to work on her dog who slipped a disc yesterday. She is almost paralyzed. She had to hold her up to pee, to eat and drink, and she's on a bunch of pain meds. She messaged me asking if I could work on her. Can I? So how would I treat her? She's a French bulldog, so she is tiny. She's not as tiny as my little dog. My dog's 4.5 pounds, 5 years old, and we treat her. And we treat her on a very moderate setting. We don't, because she's so little, doesn't mean that we can't turn the machine up a little bit. We just keep her comfortable. She'll tell us when she's not comfortable, she'll walk away. We treat her for anxiety. She's very timid and has a lot of anxiety because she's not any bigger than my foot. And so that's all she sees. Just think about that. The doctor told us that when we first took her to the vet. He said, all she sees is feet. I mean, she's no bigger than a foot. And so that's something that you deal with. So in this situation where you have a paralyzation or a situation of a bruising of the nerve or what's going on, I would certainly treat the dog, use the large loop, lay the dog in the middle of the large loop, treat for comfort, treat once or twice a day. I've often told the story when I first met Dr. Marty in person. There was a world champion dachshund that was dragging its legs around the meeting that we were at. After the cocktail hour, after the meeting was over, the lady brought the dog to Doc and I, and we treated the dog for about 8 minutes, and the dog got up and walked away. And that night, the dog had not been able to jump up on the bed for months. The dog was able to jump up on the bed 3 times as the veterinarian came back and told us in the morning. We treated it again, and it was running around the conference. So a lot of times there's inflammation, there's swelling that gets in the way of the nerves and produces a situation that could be good. That could be very paralytic and keep you from going. Just think about it. When you go out in the yard and you do something and you strain your back and you get in the house and you can't hardly get into the chair, you're almost paralyzed. You'll sit there and, oh my God. Yes, you can move and you can do things, as what happens with the animal. They're still going there, but it's just they don't move because they can't move. I mean, we've all experienced this with the horses. They're fine today. We rode, we did a nice workout, and we did this and that. Come back tomorrow morning, they won't get up out of the stall. They're down. Boom. Just happened. It didn't just happen. It's been building for weeks or for days. And then all of a sudden the horse says, whoop, can't do this anymore. Not getting up. I'm down. I'm lame. Whoop, not good, not sound. And then they need to get the vet involved and do whatever needs to happen to make them feel better. So certainly, I would treat the animal. I would deal with the veterinarian if the veterinarian's up on what's going on and there is something that's major that they don't want to have going on with it, then do follow the recommendations of the veterinarian. But in this type situation, if it's new and it's just happened and you want to help deal with the inflammation and to provide some comfort, I would think it would be something that you would certainly want to have a look at. Has anyone worked on a puppy who just got his ears cropped? He's got his leg hurt. That's why they are asking me to work on him. However, he just got his ears cropped on Wednesday. You're not going to work on the ears or the head. I wouldn't do that area if they're concerned about bleeding from where they cropped the ears. Leave it alone. Work on the legs, work on the hip, work on the back, and treat the animal. The fact that you're doing that, you're not going to have any impact on what's happened in the ear area type of situation. Wouldn't deal with it. Let me take one back up on that. If the ears are still bleeding, you might want to wait a day for the bleeding to be in check. But I would bet they've cropped the ears, they've stitched, they've done what they needed to do, they bandaged, and there's no bleeding going on. Treat away. We just don't want to, because of improved blood flow, we don't want bleeding to occur that's not necessary, or just we want the bleeding to stop, and that's the key there. So I would certainly do that. With any same type of question, has anyone worked on a dog with a recently amputated tail? Protocol results. A client of mine has a new dog that has his tail amputated, tail clipped, if you will. She was planning to do laser treatments, but instead called me to see what we could do with MagnaWave. Any advice is appreciated. Treat the area. I would use the large loop over the back of the animal to treat the tail and the hips, the whole 9 yards, provide comfort to the area and enhance the healing ability of the clipping so the animal is comfortable, and it will normally we'll see an improvement in the healing time because of the good blood flow, the good oxygenation to the area. Certainly not an issue to approach that type of situation. There's a question about a horse with cellulitis that has popped up and it has bed sores on the hock, and the practitioner is wondering how to address it, treat it. If it's got a bad sore, I don't know if that's a bed sore or a bad sore is what the question, how it reads on the hock, I would certainly treat the area to heal the soring to where it's sore, to where it's an exposed wound, if you will, that's not bleeding, but to help it heal and go about the type situation. The cellulitis, you want to improve the overall circulation in the area to get the cellulitis to be relieved, to get the flow the way you want it to, and to move it away. I treat the hips, the whole leg, the feet, and produce it in that area. It doesn't do you any good to treat just the area when they got the road clogged, if you will. You need to open up the whole road. We've talked about this as an accident where everybody's rubbernecking and the accident's gone. You need to clear out the area, clear the road, if you will, treat the area, treat around the area so you get good blood flow and good movement from those areas for comfort and the health of the animal. Okay, great questions, and I hope this is helping. Let's see, I have a client that had a dog get run over, took him to the vet and had it checked out. Nothing broken, but the dog is sore. Can I start therapy right away or should wait a few days? I would start right away. If there's no bleeding, there's nothing going on, why let the dog become uncomfortable? When you go out and work in the yard, when I go out and do something, if I stress my back, I don't come in the house and sit in the chair for 2 days and say, oh my God, I got to wait for 2 days. I treat myself. And I'm better. The more rapidly you approach the situation, the more rapidly you will receive the results that you're looking for. So I'd start therapy right away in that situation. Just a bunch of generalized pain, general soreness. You want to help comfort the area, get good blood flow through the whole animal. Treat it up and have a good time and help them feel better. can MagnaWave help someone that's had fluid in the lungs, or an animal that's had fluid in the lungs? And I want you to take this and think about it as we approach it. MagnaWave will help improve the fluid situation in the lungs by promoting good circulation through the lungs, by helping the lungs be more open to the blood flow, to help get rid of the buildup of fluids in the lungs caused by for whatever reason that it might be there. So in those types of situations, you can normally improve blood flow, improve oxygenation, improve the healing type of situation that takes place in the lungs, regardless of what has caused what is going on. And around the world, in various clinics and things that we're talking about right now, talking with some doctors in Mexico who have used back in the SARS epidemic back in 2009, where there were some pneumonia issues and lung issues in people, and they used the PEMF to help keep the lungs open and freely moving so people were able to recover in a good, positive fashion. They did that, and we're working with some of those doctors. In fact, there's some testimonials on the website with the doctor from Mexico as to how various modalities can be used to help the lung in those types of situations. I have a senior dog with arthritis that has always been really anxious when being treated on low intensity. The other night, I increased the intensity quite a bit, and he flopped onto his side, totally relaxed, closed his eyes, and snoozed. His owner and I were shocked that he preferred a moderate intensity where he is really pulsing. Have you seen this before? Yes, I have seen this before. Sometimes, when I rub my wife's back, if she's got a sore back and I just am barely doing it, I'm just massaging. I don't want to be too hard, and I don't want to get it. The reaction is, come on, rub my back. Give me a deep tissue massage here. And so the same thing on an animal. When it's laying there and it's a little sore and you got it on a very low intensity and it's sitting there thinking, what the heck is going on here? And you crank it up a little bit, you're not going to if they're uncomfortable, they will leave. You got to keep that in mind. If the animal is uncomfortable, I've always said when I'm treating a horse, if the horse moves around, that's one thing. If the horse is uncomfortable, it's going to do two things. It's going to leave, or it's going to try and look at me like it's going to take my head off. And so those are things or the eye. I always look at the animal's eye. If the horse's eye is comfortable and I'm treating, I'm going to say with a little more intensity, but the eye is comfortable, you're good. And if you don't have enough intensity, their eye might still be sitting there saying, I'm hurting. So to answer your question as you're approaching, it's not unusual to turn it up a little bit, increase the intensity, provide more comfort to the area. That doesn't mean you're going to bounce the little dog off the floor because you turn it all the way up. You don't want to do that. They won't let you for beginners, to start with. My very first customer I ever treated was Creedy, and I brought my machine back. We were in Washington at the Washington International Heart Show, and I had my machine. I was going to do it. I turned it on. She wanted to see, well, what's it feel like? Well, I didn't turn it down before I started the machine on her back. I'd been treating some horses, and it was a pretty good intensive punch to her back. And she came up out of the chair and she said, gee whiz. And so I learned that day, thank you, Creedy, that you always got to turn your machine down and then adjust it accordingly for every client, every animal that you're dealing with. So they are comfortable. They won't stay if it's uncomfortable. So you can, as long as you're increasing the intensity and they're staying and they're comfortable and their eyes are comfortable and they're relaxing and they're licking or they are releasing, those are all good signs. And it's not a situation that if I can count those clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's not always too high on an animal that you're dealing with. If it's 1, 2, and the animal was really getting a punch, they'll leave. If they're not comfortable, they'll leave. And you just need to, every animal's different. Every time you work on them and you train with them, you'll figure that out and approach it accordingly. That's my recommendation there today. Do you have any, and let's see, okay. Do you have any insight regarding Ehlers-Danlos syndrome human? Do not. I will research that, Phil, and take a look at it and hope to get back with that as we go forward. And here's somebody trying to call me. I need to say I'll call him later. Always try to leave on low intensity. Thanks, Pat. I'm glad we figured it out. I've seen recent discussion on the practitioner's page about machines damaging electronics, and some of the videos I've seen you have a watch on. How do you know what devices will or won't be affected by the machines? Will certain machines cause more damage? Is there any type of container or client where put their keys, phones, etc. to protect them? Okay. I wear a watch. I also used to wear an Apple Watch, and I only quit wearing it because I broke it. But I wear a mechanical watch today. But to come back to that, I always, when I was treating day to day in the field, my phone was almost always in my back pocket. We've had situations with some of the car keys with chips in them. If you put it in your front pocket and you go to treat a hock or treat a leg and you're kind of up against the animal that you're working on, can you erase those keys? Yes. We first had trouble with some BMW keys. Had trouble with Chrysler keys, our own Chrysler that we had trouble with. We had to learn to put the key a foot or two away, put it in your back pocket, not your front pocket. And so, yes, there can be an effect. I had a marketing person that was working with us that had his phone in his pocket. And he was going to treat his hand, was feeling a little tension in his hand. And he put the paddle on top of his pocket, put his hand on top of the paddle, turned it all the way up and pretty much erased the phone. And so it's a proximity issue. We always talk about in the literature to be 10 feet away, 15 feet away from a computer or from electronic devices, so the signal does not have any impact on what's going on. And we put distances in there. We talk about distances for precaution. You COVID, be 6 feet apart or stay separated and do this kind of stuff. Does that mean that 6 foot's any safer than 5 foot? I don't know. But is 7 foot or 8 foot better than 6 foot? Yes. And so there's ways to kind of put all that into perspective. And so as I traveled for years in what my wife called the tube, we got in an RV and spent 5.5 years. I was 7 years on the road full time, pretty much full time. She was with me 5 years on the road in this tube. And we had 2 computers and our phones in this tube, and they weren't 4 or 5 feet from the machines that we had at that point in time. We never had any issues with the signals. Now, I will say that as people have improved the engineering on their devices, and as we work more closely with the FDA and the Electronics Institute and so forth to make sure that our devices put out signals that will not interfere with things, we are very inclined to have devices that do not interfere. And so it's always best to have some precaution as to where you have those situations. If you're really concerned about that, put it in maybe a little metal case, like the military little metal, the old ammunition cases. Put it in a briefcase and just have the briefcase a few feet away, which is going to provide a little resistance to the signal. But it's not a big deal, but it is something to certainly be cognizant of and that you don't do. With electronic keys, the biggest situation is the electronic chip in keys that people keep in their pockets or wherever they're doing, and they've got them around their devices. They can be very easily impacted by a device. Keep those electronic. Now, key fob, the old style key fob with a battery in it, different situation. It's the chip that they're putting in keys. Now, I need to go and take this a step further with the chips that are implanted in various animals, in dogs, horses, and so forth. We did tests years ago where they would put the chip in. We would treat the area right where the chip was with a butterfly coil with a moderate to an upper intensity treatment, and never had any problems with the chips, and those chips are not, they're like x-rays, so that, you know, the information they put on there is available. It's different. And so that's the situation. But we need to continue to test those type situations to make sure that maybe someone doesn't come out with a new chip that we need to be cognizant of. But they know that when they develop these chips and they make them, they're making them so they can withstand x-rays, those types of things that go on with the animals. They don't think about that with the car keys. They don't make a car key that it can be exposed to these things. They make a car key that it'll start your car. It's up to you to protect your car key, that type of thing. Okay, hope that helps. Our 12-and-a-half-year-old collie is starting to have some urinary incontinence issues. What are the guidelines for treating her? Well, you know, again, you got a 12-and-a-half-year-old collie. There can be extenuating circumstances enhancing the potentiality of incontinence in that animal, but I would treat the bladder area on a very moderate setting, on a low setting daily, so you can massage the muscles of the bladder and the area so they can help retain strength. Because you are, when you're doing that, you are in essence exercising, cellular exercise that we talk about, and you're exercising that area. So if that can help the animal as it does, the modality is approved by the FDA for incontinence in women, and many men have incontinence issues, and they use the same type of protocol for men. Women are a little different with the muscle structures and so forth, but so there is a device that is FDA approved for incontinence in women, and what it's doing is it's helping massage, help the elasticity of the various muscles, that they stay closed, or they can they can better function the way they're supposed to. So that's a situation. I would treat the area. I would treat it often, and you don't need to do it long. You can do it 5 or 10 minutes, once a day, twice a day, whatever's comfortable. You don't have to be, real right there on the area. If you can lay the collie down, put the coil over its leg, hip, and urinary tract area, and just treat them for 10 or 15 minutes every day. And that could very well be a situation that you'll be happy with. And your veterinarian may have some insight on that as well, as to some other things you could potentially do to help the situation. Hope that helps. Great question, Leslie. Thank you so much. Wow, we're getting close on time here, but that's good. We're glad that you're with us. Let's see, there was a question. I don't want to do that. Let me hide that. Okay, Tony, perhaps you can run that video of the MagnaCon coming up, and I'll have a look at this question, see if I can get an answer. A new location for MagnaCon 2022 has been chosen. Get ready to join the largest PMF conference in the world at the Galt House Hotel here in Louisville, Kentucky. The only waterfront hotel in the city, the Galt House will give you front row access to many great restaurants and attractions that will make for an unforgettable MagnaCon experience. Make sure to reserve your hotel room for MagnaCon 2022 today. Okay, the question that was asked earlier, great video, thank you, Tony, is about prednisone in the body, and will as a corticosteroid, will MagnaWave cancel that out? We've not really seen too much of that as being a situation that's dealt with. The way to basically do that, the prednisone is designed to work with the anti-inflammatory portions of the body to help keep inflammation at bay. We've learned that the PEMF can enhance the metabolization of medications that are being delivered to the body. So now, if this is put in a specific area that they want to treat and let it do its job, then the result would be let it inject it, let them do what they're doing, let it work for 12 hours, 24 hours, then come back to enhance the results of the inflammation reduction that we're looking to get. So there's a lot of times when we'll do things in a situation that we'll let the medication go, and then let's come in afterwards and follow up and help the medication that's been applied to better help the body. So that's one way to approach that. Always talk with the doc. If the doc feels that you should wait on a situation with your animal before you come and treat, we used to do that all the time with an animal would have an infection, and the doc would say, let me give the antibiotics, let me do this, wait 24, 48 hours, then you come back in and treat for comfort and help the animal feel better and to better be in a better situation to heal. And so that's it's always good to allow those things to happen. And a lot of folks will do that. And that's where, when you come to the practitioner page or you have questions that you ask in the MagnaWave International Education and Resource Group, you can ask questions in there. You can search in there for various questions that have been asked, and you'll get and see. It's always best to work on an integrative fashion. Many modalities work very well together. Laser, red light, MagnaWave, or PEMF, they work very well in combination with each other, either before or after each other. So there's a lot of ways to approach that. If someone says, well, we're going to take some prednisone and we're going to treat this animal with this or with that, let them do that. Let it do its job. Let it get started, and then you can come back and enhance what's going on. That's a way that I would recommend that you approach that type of situation. Okay, well, we're getting close on time here. Let's see. I have ulcerative colitis when I have a bleeding ulcer. Should I not be doing treatments? Would it slow the healing or probably cause more bleeding? It's a great question that you would approach with your doctor. But you're in a situation to where you're wanting to, we'll use it on situations. If you're giving a medication, if the animal is taking a medication to kind of enhance the stopping of the bleeding and things go. Again, let the medication do its job. Then you come in afterwards and kind of help the inflammation to go away, to allow the healing process to be enhanced if you're going forward. If you have an active bleeding situation that is causing, internal bleeding in an animal or a client is not a good thing. And where it's there, and we want that to be controlled. But then once it's controlled, we want to heal the wounding that is there and help the situation not reoccur if the body can best do that on its own with some enhanced blood flow, not increased blood flow, but enhanced blood flow, enhanced oxygenation of the body. And that can be a situation. And again, that also comes down to the area being treated. For example, if you're treating your knee, you're improving the blood flow and the oxygenation to the whole body, which will help the healing in other areas of the body. So by treating the back, you can help relieve a headache. By treating those areas, because you're working to enhance the situation in the whole body. So if your animal has ulcers in the gut, don't necessarily treat the gut. Don't go where you can influence what's going on there. Treat the shoulders, treat the heart, treat the upper back, so the good blood flow in the body can better do its job, interact with the nutrients that the docs are giving to help that situation heal. That's the way to have a look at those types of situations. Okay, wow. Great questions today. We were started a few minutes late because I had to get some things taken care of, but we're excited to be here. I'm getting more used to my new little center camera there that's working out. Seems to be working very well. I appreciate that. That was one of those deals where you go, not a GoFundMe, but what's the name of it? I can't think of the name of it, but you kind of buy them before they make them because they got them produced or they want to do them, crowdfunding, if you will. And I did that several months ago. I thought it was a great idea and how it would work. And so they did it because I don't want to be looking up all the time, that type of thing. And I got them, and I really appreciate having it and enjoy applying that. So, that's how we got to where we are. We tested things, we did things, people helped us out. That's how it goes. Let's see, MagnaCon. There you go. Let's see, how much are the tickets? Is there any single people that can room with the help of a hotel bill? Absolutely. Go to the practitioner page, MagnaCon 22 at magnacon.com. I think there's a place on the page where you can go to say, hey, I'm looking for a roomie, and people can team up and put 2 or 3, 4 people in a room, depending how you want to do that and what's most comfortable. Didn't see anything I don't know what she's talking about there, but we need to clarify some stuff. So, okay. Thank you for being with me. I certainly appreciate it. It's always fun being here. I look forward to being back with you again next Tuesday at noon to answer your questions. That'll be Christmas week. That's pretty exciting. A lot of things going on, a lot of gift giving, a lot of fun, a lot of meals and family parties and so forth. Enough said. Thank you for being with me. Love you guys. As always, wave on to better health. Go all the way with MagnaWave. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.